All right, Will, we're live. This is like
Awesome.
episode 11 or 12. We haven't done one in a while, so we had to try to get back into it because tax season's just been an absolute mess. Um, but today we've got Lee DeBoo with us from Red Seal Mechanical, also the new founder of FilterDelivery.ca, which is a little bit about what we want to talk about. Thanks for joining us today, Lee.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Now, I heard about you popped up on my Facebook with the filter delivery,
hmm
which I thought was a really. We've talked a lot on this show about business owners needing to pivot in a time of need, and you're in an industry where you physically deal with people,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so you've chatting offline earlier. You've basically been shut down since March, but you came up with this really ingenious idea on how to pivot your business. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that and how it all came to be?
Yeah. Thank you. So a little background. I started out in the heating, air conditioning trades and industrial commercial work for probably been doing it for 15, 20 years almost. And the number one issue that I would come across with once I pivoted into residential, once I started working for myself, the number one issue that I would come across is people would always forget to change your furnace filter. And it would sometimes, in order for me to come out, usually it's about $100 for a service call, if it's just a matter of coming out and diagnosing an issue. So, like I said, finding people that would always forget to change your furnace filter, it was an issue that I don't feel comfortable charging my customers. Say, hey, listen, all you have to do is change your filter and it will save you this $100, $200. Sometimes potentially if you don't change your filter, then your furnace can overheat, your air conditioning can freeze up, fan motors can burn out. There could be a lot of different issues, all because people forget to change your furnace filter. So it kind of just made sense, instead of having me physically go and changing it for people. There's another company called the Dollar Shave Club, which is, this is kind of along the
Okay.
same line. So it's just a matter of people get signed up and a new filter just gets delivered to their house every 1 month, 2 months, however often they want to change it. And that way, once it shows up, they say, oh, it's time to change my filter, and they can change it and they don't have to remember it again. A lot of people, even just, I see a lot when I'm at Home Depot. People are standing in the filter aisle and they're like, well, okay, well, do I take this one? Do I take this one? What size did I have? And I've literally seen people standing in that aisle for like 10 minutes just staring at furnace filters. So
That
it
would be
was just,
me.
and it doesn't just happen just once. Like, I've seen it so many times. In all the issues that I've come across, it just kind of made sense to pivot into that. Especially with, again, not being able to get into people's houses and to avoid as much service work as I can. Then going online and doing it on that side of things just made sense.
So if I'm looking at my furnace,
Yes.
how would I know what to order from your filter delivery service if I'm used to standing in front of Home Depot staring at all the filters?
Yeah. So on the website, I made it pretty easy. It's just a matter of, most filters have a size that's written on them. The most common one is 16 by 25 by 1. So 16 inches tall, 25 inches long, and 1 inch thick. Um, Most filters have that written right on the side of them. I have a good, a better, and a best. Um, Generally, when it comes to choosing any of them, the lowest one, so my good quality one, is the minimum that most manufacturers, like most furnace manufacturers, will recommend. And then it just kind of gets a little bit better. Any of the three of them are a great quality filter. The higher one filters out a little bit more air, or a little bit more dust and debris. But like I said, all three of them are usually better than most of the cheap ones that you can buy from Home Depot. Like, I see a lot of people that'll spend like $10 for four of them, and it has a bunch of strings, and like, they are catching hair and big debris, but then it's not actually keeping your furnace clean, and it's not filtering the air at all. So, like I said, any of the three that I have, I made it as simple as possible. So it's just, you pick the size, you pick the quality that you want, how often you want it delivered, and then it just shows up.
How often should you like? How often should you change your filter?
Um, so that one's a little bit it depends on each home.
Oh,
So
really? Okay.
yes. So my house, I have on the thermostat, there's a switch for the fan and it says on or auto.
Right.
And if you have it in auto, then the fan will come on and shut off as the heat or cooling comes on and shuts off. So sometimes the fan is running and sometimes it's not. Usually if that's the case, so if it's set into auto, every 3 months is about average for how often you want to change your filter. For myself, I keep the fan in the on position on the thermostat. It's set to on. So my fan is running 24 hours a day, and that just kind of circulates the air and gives a more even temperature from the basement to the top floor. But I have to change my furnace filter every month. And usually at the end of that month, if I take it out, then I'll see that it's like drastically a different color than when I put it in. Usually that's a pretty good telltale sign, is checking your filter, seeing how dirty it is. If you can't see through it, or if you can't see the original color that it was, and most of the time it ends up being black, then it's just time to change it.
So
you said the fan. Sorry there, Dad. You said the fan feature. So, like, I'm thinking about my furnace, clearly.
Yes.
Selfish. And so the fan feature, I had no idea what the fan feature was for.
For sure. No, that's okay.
So what does a fan feature do in a furnace? What does it do? Yeah.
So, like I said, you can have it. It's kind of like having a ceiling fan running in your bedroom or wherever. So if you were to have the fan into the on position, then your furnace fan will be running 24 hours a day, and then the heat and the cooling will cycle on and off as the temperature is needed. But the fan will continue to circulate the air all the time.
Okay.
If it's set in auto, then the fan will come on and off as the heat comes on and off. So sometimes it'll be on, sometimes it'll be off. It just depends on what the temperature is. But like I said, I have the fan set to on just because I find that that it gives a little bit more of an even temperature from the basement up to the top floor. It's the top air from the top floor and the cold air out of the basement, and it just kind of mixes them together. There's a lot of people that don't love having that constant air noise. Like some people, you can hear the air coming out of the registers, and they don't really enjoy that sound. That sound is almost like a white noise going on all the time. So like I said, it's kind of preferential. Each person wants something different. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Never knew what it was all about. Okay. I just learned something new.
Okay, now,
for sure.
Now, if you're like me and you're scared to death right now to go check your furnace filter to see what color it is, if I go online to order my first furnace filter from FilterDelivery.ca, how long is the turnaround time from when I order it to when I could expect it to be delivered?
So usually, I mean, if it were a Friday, then usually you're going to be getting it on Monday.
Wow.
If not, then usually it's the next day. For most of my customers at this point are all located within Durham region. Like I give them to my regular customers. So if I were to install a furnace or an air conditioner, then I will give that customer a free year of FilterDelivery.ca so that they can kind of get used to having the filter delivered, and then they see what it's like to have it. It is a fairly hard sell, only because a lot of people don't think about it. They don't care about changing their filter. So it's kind of in the back of their mind, they don't think about it. So that's why, like I said, I try to give it away to most of my bigger customers regularly. When it comes to, sorry, now I've completely lost track. What was the question?
No, it was just when it was going to be delivered if I ordered the first one, right?
Right. So usually it's a day or so. I have a few people that are out of town. Like I have a couple people in Ottawa and Vaughan. So kind of spread out a little bit, which as soon as I get the order, then that same day it gets shipped out, and then whatever the shipping company ends up taking to ship it out. So anywhere outside of Durham region, it's usually a few days. For myself in Durham region, then it's within a day or so.
So the service, so someone signs up on FilterDelivery.ca, they register or become a member.
Yeah,
right?
it's like a magazine subscription, basically. Yeah.
Right. So it gets automatically billed to their credit card. Automatically.
Yeah. So again, it's pretty typical of 3 months is the most common. However often you want to change. So once you order your first one, it would show up within a day or so. And then say 3 months down the line, you'll get an email that says, hey, an order has been placed for you. A new filter will be arriving within the next couple of days. And then the filter comes.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's a pretty easy service. Like I said, the biggest thing for me was I found that so many people just always forget about it. And even my regular customers who do have it every 3 months, when I bump into them and I see them, they're like, they're like, oh, I didn't know it was 3 months already. I didn't know it was 6 months already. Like it's the time goes by so quickly that they just don't even think about it. So most of the time people forget and even let it go 6 months, a year sometimes without changing it because it's just something that they don't think about.
3 years.
Are you being serious when you say 3 years? Seriously?
Honestly, Will, I'm pretty sure that I've been in this house 3 years, and I'm pretty sure I've only installed one filter.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
See, now if that were the case, there's a good chance that your fan is probably overheating. So your fan motor will end up burning out pretty soon. It's possible that the filter could have actually got sucked into the fan area compartment. If it got so dirty, the fan is so powerful that it'll actually crush the filter and pull it into the fan. In the summertime, what'll happen is there's not enough airflow going past your air conditioner. So there's a part above your furnace, part of your air conditioner that's inside of your house that makes the air cold. What'll happen is that won't have enough airflow going past it, and that will actually turn into a big block of ice. And then in the summer or in the winter time, your furnace could end up overheating, and then it'll shut down. And then once it cools off again, then it'll start up and it'll just cycle like that. It'll overheat, and then eventually it'll end up breaking down.
Well,
so
thanks for the good news, Lee. That's awesome. Glad we had you on the show.
Well, and that's the thing. So it's so important to make sure it's such an easy thing to do, and to that's the number one preventative maintenance that you can do is changing your furnace filter and taking a hose and spraying off your outside air conditioner. I mean, other than those two things, you really don't even need to have a service guy come to like service your equipment unless it's broken down. As long as you're changing your filter and you're cleaning your air conditioner or spraying it off.
Well, I already told you I'm signing up this week. It's being done.
You need to. You should get a service first, though. Have Lee go into your home if he can, when he can, to look at your furnace as well, because that's craziness. Maybe your wife. I'd like your wife there, Dan. Maybe she started to have to realize who you are, and she checked it out herself and said, "Let me do this because Dad's useless." Even I can do that. Like my thermostat tells me on my phone, change your filter. Thank you, Dan.
There is a chance she did that because I did buy that 3-pack of filters
Right
from
Home Depot. So I'll have to see how many are left.
Well, you know what? Even with the 3-pack, so when it comes to furnace filters, there are some that if you were to buy a 3-pack from Home Depot, usually they're called Filtrete is the name brand. It's by 3M. They have some that are a higher quality filter, and they are a good filter and they filter out the air a lot. But what happens is for price wise, the 3-pack would have been like, I don't know, $50 maybe.
That's
so with that quality of filter, they actually need to be changed even more frequently because it is a good quality filter. So it filters out the air really well. But what happens is because it filters the air so well, it just collects stuff twice as fast.
Right.
So, and then it just ends up causing a big wall inside of your furnace. So the fans can't cycle it even worse than.
I know. So I really love this service. I think it's an absolutely phenomenal idea.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
We're going to have people that are going to be watching this that are out of province. So do you ship to British Columbia, Alberta?
Yeah. So anywhere, like I said, I try to keep inside of Durham region if I can, only because it saves me shipping costs. Anybody outside of Durham region, it's a $5 flat rate shipping, and that'll go all the way across the country.
Okay, that's cheap.
So yeah, I mean I end up eating the cost of it, but it's just one of those things that I can't justify more of a cost for shipping. So it was just one of those things that in order to get a few more customers, I'll eat that cost. And then eventually if I had a high enough quantity of people that I'm shipping out to, then my shipping costs will end up dropping down eventually anyways.
How have you marketed this service to people? Because you were just saying that you're no longer allowed to go into people's homes with this whole pandemic business. So how were you able to market it?
Yeah, so I mean, again, a lot of it has been through referrals, word of mouth. I did do a bit of Facebook marketing, but other than that, I haven't really done a whole lot. I find that, again, it actually ends up being quite a hard sell. Once people get signed up for it, then they absolutely love it. But because it's something for their furnace, it's almost like there's actually a law in effect right now that you can't go door to door and sell anything for furnaces, air conditioners, hot water tanks, anything like that. So that's actually how I started doing it. I started going, and when I started the business a while back, then I just started knocking on doors and trying to just inform people about it. I wasn't necessarily pushing anything. I'm not really a great salesman, so I'm more of a, it's more of a, hey, here's what I got. If you're interested, go check it out. But
how's the reception been like when people hear about it and start using the service? How's the feedback been?
Yeah, like I said, as soon as people get the service, then they absolutely love it. Getting people actually signed up for it is a different challenge altogether. Again, maybe it's just because I'm not a salesman and I'm not pushy like that. So I've never been like, here, sign up for it. I'll explain it to people, and I just leave it in their hands. If somebody's willing to get signed up, then for sure.
We'll talk. John and I will have a ton of different marketing ideas because, I mean, I got sucked into good food that gets delivered now every Thursday, and it cost me $80 for 4 meals. But they got me because I got the first one. I got the first one for $40, I think. So you got 4 meals for $40.
Oh, that's all right.
It was really good, and then my wife loved it because she doesn't have to think about what to make for dinner. So she just pulled the bags out, and now I'm stuck paying $80 a week while this whole thing's going on just to keep her happy, which at the end of the day is plenty worth it.
The goal. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's how that started, right? And you could probably do some things like that too, where it's, hey, if you sign up and a friend signs up, we'll do some sort of discounting deal on the first set of filters, right?
For sure. So I do actually have a coupon code. So if somebody did want to sign up, then the first one would actually be free. It's just, if somebody were signing up, then you just, at the checkout page, there's a spot for a coupon code. It's FILTER1. So FILTER and then the number 1. And that would give whoever signs up, the very first filter will be delivered for free. So they won't actually be charged until 3 months into the future when the second one is about to show up.
So if someone signed up today, like Dan, for instance,
I
went to your site, FilterDelivery.ca, and enter the code. They'll get a free filter and free delivery.
So like I said, they won't be charged at first. A filter will still show up at their door, and then they'll be charged 3 months whenever the second filter is due to come.
That's amazing.
Now, I happen to get on a whole bunch of these different things. So I do have like a men's face cream stuff that comes every month.
They're ridiculous.
I do. Tiege Hanley, man, it's phenomenal. Tiege Hanley, they're amazing.
Lotion? We're talking about regular lotion?
No, it's a whole system, man. You get a scrub, you get a soap, you get a moisturizer with SPF 20, you get eye cream, and then there's this other goop that goes on that you have to make sure you put the moisture on top, otherwise your face burns to a crisp. But it's a serum. Really But then I found during this whole COVID thing that I hadn't been shaving very often, and so I wasn't using it. And they kept sending it every month, which was fine, but it's like $50 some odd US every time they send this thing out, right? Now, so I was able to go on and put it on hold. Is that a possibility on the filter delivery as well, where if I find that in 3 months my filter is not, if I keep pulling it out and it's not completely dirty, can I put it on 4-month or 5-month redelivery?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you go onto the website, there is a spot where you can check your account, and then it's just a matter of changing the frequency of it. You can change. I actually have a lot of people, again, because you only get, it's for a year typically. Sometimes people only have it twice a year. Then I've actually had a few people that their credit cards will end up expiring in that time. So there's a spot where you can change your credit card number, where you can, like I said, put it on hold. You can even cancel. There's no hassle for canceling it. As soon as you push the cancel button, then it gets canceled right away if for some reason somebody's not happy with it. You can change the amount of the distance between how often you want them changed as well.
And can we buy it as a gift for someone else?
You What you would end up having to do is fill in all of their information, and then it would just end up coming off of your credit card. That's all.
That's really good. So has this been able to I guess I can't even speak today. Has this been able to sustain your business? Are you making the same revenue, or do you feel yourself maybe, coming out of this pandemic, you'll be busier as a result of this service?
To an extent. I mean, it's not quite at the point of taking away from my mechanical business. It's at this point, it is, I guess you could call it a side hustle. I'm big on having multiple streams of revenue. Only again for situations like this where you don't want to be stuck having zero coming in. So I try to find as many different ways to bring cash in as I can. But yeah, with this, it has definitely helped. Like I said, it hasn't been to the point where it's completely taken over my other business though.
Let's talk about that, because we've done a lot of mindset talking on here with how people have been dealing with this whole crisis. Now, you and your wife are both in businesses where you deal directly with the public, so
yes,
you've both been off. But I've been watching your Facebook videos that you've been posting, which they're phenomenal, by the way. You're very, very
thank you
on your video lives. What's kept you in this positive frame of mind as you've been going through this whole transition?
This is for how I am. I've kind of grown up with a positive outlook on things. I've never been one to complain really for the biggest thing. But so for myself, when my wife and I had first gotten married, I used to actually frame houses, and a goal of mine was to build and design my own home. Back in the beginning of 2015, we had finally finished building and designing our own home. And something had just kind of clicked where I had accomplished this big goal that I had been reaching for so long. And I was like, okay, now I'm almost directionless at that point. So that's how I started getting into personal development, making sure that I'm reading. Since 2015, I've read more books than 3 of my lifetimes before that. And it's all just a matter of, like I said, trying to be the best person that I can be, whether that's through helping other people, having a positive outlook on things, and just being the best that I can so that I can support my family and everybody else around me. So
what's your favorite book? What's the best book you've read in the last 6 months?
Oh, so are you
actually reading books, or are you doing like ebooks?
Regular books. This is called The Obstacle is the Way, which that's probably my second time reading that one, and it's a really good book. Which that is all about taking obstacles and finding a way to maneuver those and transition from seeing it as an obstacle to using it as a stepping stone to get somewhere else. It's called Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday is the author. That book I've read a couple times. I'd say the number one book that really kind of got me into things was How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yes, that's a great book.
Yeah, it really is. All that kind of stuff. I love all kinds of books like that.
That's perfect.
What are you reading right now, Will?
Well, I am. You are such an ass. I have the attention span of an ant, but I'm an ebook-aholic. Dad knows this. I have a low attention span, it seems. Right now, I'm re-listening to Malcolm Gladwell's Talking to Strangers, which I think is. Have you read that book?
I haven't. I've read a couple. Malcolm Gladwell. What's the other big one that he has? Yeah, I don't know. I like Malcolm Gladwell.
And so his book, Talking to Strangers, like the wife and I were just talking about it yesterday. It's such a good book about how, like, the dynamics of linguistics and language and people's positions in society and in your life. It's so for me, being in sales, I think it's a hugely important book. So there are times when I want to go to another section, so I go to my ebook app and I listen to certain sections just to sort of remind myself about certain things. But the book I'm currently listening to right now, Dan, is a Harvey Weinstein book with Catch and Kill. I'm still on that ebook right now. Ronan Farrow. It's a book about Harvey Weinstein and sort of the power that he had leading up to the release of him being pretty much a predator. So yeah, it's a great book. It's a little different. It's not like business, but at times that you need a break from what you're doing every single day.
For sure.
And
Lee and I are reading personal development books, and you're reading the National Enquirer.
Hey, it's fact. It is fact. Yeah, what book are you reading right now?
I'm reading Relentless.
Relentless. That's a good
Tim
one.
Grover. That's a great
Tim Grover.
book.
Yeah.
It's a great book. Will, you'd love it because it's got basketball references all throughout, and I know that you're a big fan. So
have you been watching Last Dance?
I've been watching. Now I had to stop because I got my son a PlayStation 4 for his birthday, so I've now lost the basement TV. So I haven't watched as much as I think I'm on episode 5.
It's Lee, are you watching it?
No, not at all. I don't watch a whole lot of TV.
Yeah, get on that. It is.
It's good.
The mentality of Michael Jordan. I mean, he's the first self-made billionaire who's an athlete. So he's worth $1 billion. His thought process when it comes to winning, you can apply how he thinks to anything you want to do in your life.
Right.
And so I find his story. I mean, I love Michael Jordan, but this documentary is just showing you the kind of drive and sacrifice that he's made to be the best. And I think
that's awesome. Why you need to read Relentless, because
I've made it.
Tim Grover worked with Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kobe. Yeah, Kobe's another big one for on personal development and all that other stuff too. Kobe was huge.
Yeah.
Have either of you read the 5 a.m. Club?
Yep, got it upstairs.
Yeah, I was gonna say that is another really good book. That's that pushed me into really getting a stronger morning. I had a pretty strong morning routine before I read that, but getting up earlier and getting your day started out at super early, it's just phenomenal.
Yeah, like I try. Let me tell you my story there, Lee. I try every night I go to bed, and every night I'm like, Will, you're going to wake up at 7 o'clock. My alarm goes up at 7. I look at my phone, put it down, and then it's 8:30 because I pass out. And I'm being serious, every single day this year. I mean, I had probably about 2 days when I woke up at like 6 a.m. You get so much done before 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Your entire day is that much more productive. So now I find myself scrounging every morning to get things done. And you don't feel you're getting enough done in a day.
For sure.
I wish I could do that. Wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning.
It takes a little bit of practice. I mean, I used to have to do it quite a bit for work when I was traveling into the city.
Right.
But the biggest thing for me making that transition to actually starting to wake up there was some points where I would start actually waking up at 4 o'clock just because I was so excited to wake up and get that morning routine going. But going to bed at 9:30 was a big one. So instead of sitting watching TV for a long time, then making sure that I'm getting into bed early, and even just starting to do it 5 minutes earlier. So if I know that my natural clock is to wake up at 8 o'clock, I'm going to try, I'm just going to wake up at 7:55 for this next week, and then kick it up 5 more minutes after that, and just slowly working into it. It can help. I mean, it takes a little while, but sometimes that's just what you got to do, right?
No, I agree. Having a routine is key to being, I think, one, it allows for you to get your mind right. And two, you're that much more productive in your day when you are a bit more organized. If you have time in the morning before calls start, before kids wake up, whatever, to get yourself planned out for your day or for your week, whatever, you're that much more, you make that much more money as well.
For sure. For sure.
And it's great because you don't have to think about it when you have that routine set. You just get up and this is what you're doing. Bang,
exactly.
Bang.
Exactly. Like, I mean, for what I do in the morning, it doesn't really have much to do about my day, but it just kind of changes my mental side of things. So again, I will, as soon as I get up, then I'll drink probably a liter of water. I'll do a few quick exercises just to kind of get my heart pumping a little bit. And then I will meditate for like 10, 15 minutes. I'll read a book for half hour or so. I will journal every single morning. And I make sure, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And so by journaling, like this one's, it's called the 5-minute journal. It just has like 6 little things that you fill out each day. So you fill out 3 lines of, it says, what am I grateful for? what would make today great, and daily affirmation. So you just fill those things out, and it just kind of gives, there are other ways that you can journal, but with this, it just kind of gives you a little bit of a direction of making your mind into that positive, the positive side of things. And then that just kind of, again, it goes back to me being grateful and trying to look on the positive side of things as much as I can. Yeah. I find that gratitude in every different situation is the number one thing that can help bring happiness. If you can find gratitude in everything. So, I mean, even for the clean air that we have, the food that we have, and just everything we can be grateful for, because there's always somebody who has it worse than us.
Exactly. The
our life
is being delivered to our door.
Well, I think that's ridiculous. I mean, honestly, what a waste of money. But again, I know I should not be speaking there, Dan. I'm well aware. But positivity is, Dad mocks me there, Lee, because I'm Mr. Positivity as well. Literally, I'm always smiling. Life too short, and
for sure.
You could be dead tomorrow, so who cares?
Always I don't mock you because you're smiling. I mock you because you have nothing in your life to make you not smile.
I have stresses.
Follow this guy's Facebook page. Every day he's got a giant glass of Jamaican rum.
Delicious.
The guy eats like a king because he comes home and he always takes a picture of what his wife has made him for dinner, and it's unbelievable. He's got no kids to give him any gray hair.
I have gray hair. Look at this face today. Look at this COVID gray in my face. I look like I'm 70.
He basically just gets to be this big, great, jovial guy all day long. And it's wonderful. But yeah, we make fun of him all the time.
Oh, that's never something to make fun of somebody for. That's for sure. I know, you're just picking at him.
We just pick him. We love him.
For sure. For sure. Yeah, you know what? There's always something that, so not to take things on a negative side of things, but my brother passed away a little over a year ago. I appreciate it. Within an hour of hearing that news that he had passed, I still made sure that I focused myself and said, hey, what are you grateful for in this situation? And if you can incorporate gratitude into your day all day long. So at one point I actually had an alarm set for every 3 hours just to say, hey, what are you grateful for? And that way it only takes 5 seconds to look around you and say, what are you grateful for, to express that, right? So even if you can look at the worst situation that you're dealing with, the stresses in your life are so minimal after that, because you're finding a way to look on the positive side of things instead of always finding something to complain about or finding an excuse for something else.
No, I hate when people complain about stupidity. I'm just gonna say this now. So I'm on Facebook, and Mother's Day was on Sunday, and some restaurants had issues with their curbside pickup. They were delayed by hours. The amount of nasty people commenting online about restaurants not being able to deliver them their steak on time. We have families dealing with people that are going through COVID-19, can't see their elderly parents. Little countries that can't even manage this disgusting disease. People do forget, and we live in a lovely country where we get free money, not really free, we're paying for it, but money to help us with our expenses, and we have an opportunity, as you said, to breathe, clean air, live in great homes, have great connections. We now have technology. Because this was to happen 20 years ago, we wouldn't be doing this.
No.
You wouldn't have Netflix. You would have nothing. You'd be bored out of your mind. So I think you are so right. People need to be more appreciate what we have and understand that life is not forever. And I believe, and you lost your brother. I've lost people recently as well. You got to find a way to turn a negative and dark situation in life.
Yeah.
And make it a learning experience for yourself. There's going to be times where you're not going to be your best.
For sure.
But overall, if you can find a positive, because we're all going to go through something. We're all going to go through someone dying. We're all going to go through someone that has cancer. We're all going to go through something in life. And if you are good going into that situation, you'll come out with something learned.
For sure. For sure.
So yeah, Lee, amazing. Yeah. You're teaching me so much.
See? There's a lot of value in these meetings.
I think so.
Absolutely.
Do you have anything else there, Dan?
Oh, I'm good. We're coming up to our time limit. So, Lee, awesome for you to take the time with us today.
Thank you.
No, I thank you guys. Thank you guys for having me on here today. I really loved it.
This has been great. So once again, it's FilterDelivery.ca.
Filtered
FilterDelivery.ca.
Yeah.
I guess you don't want a furnace delivered to you.
And when every 2 months, yeah, that'll be a
For
pain.
$5 shipping.
Listen, I'll install people's filters. It won't be on the price on what the website is, but I definitely do filter or furnaces as well.
Awesome.
Only that's my mechanical business, right? So,
yeah.
How long is the furnace? Now I'm being realtor here. What's a good amount of time to have a furnace? And when should you think about replacing your furnace?
Usually I tell people so it kind of depends if there's a warranty on the furnace. So higher end furnaces, usually when you buy a furnace, then if you get a base model, then usually they'll come with like a 10-year warranty. If you get the higher end ones, then you'll get a higher warranty. So some of them have lifetime warranties on them, on the heat exchanger at least, like on the biggest part.
Right.
So generally I tell people to start kind of putting money aside at like the 15 to 20 year mark.
Okay.
That's when you're going to start seeing sensors starting to go, and as long as they've changed their furnace filter and kind of taken care of their furnace as much as possible, had somebody in maybe every 5 years or so just to kind of do a checkup on it.
So are you saying that these monthly plans you see from like Enbridge or whatever are a scam?
So when
I should say unnecessary, not a scam.
I think so. Only because, I guess it depends. A lot of people have a hard time saving money, right? So for somebody to put aside, like if a fan motor did go on your furnace, like the exhaust fan that gets rid of all the fumes,
right.
If that goes, then that can be a $700 cost. So some people would rather pay $30 a month every single month in case it does break down, then they don't have to scrounge for $700. It's easier for them to come up with $30 in a month than $700 once every 10 years. Like right. So it's kind of one of those things. Most of the time it's like a hot water tank rentals. The Enbridge or Direct Energy or whoever it is, they're only spending probably $800 on the hot water tank rental. That tank would be paid off in rental fees in like 2 or 3 years. There's usually you can go a lifetime without having your hot water tank break down. So they're making piles and piles of money on those rental fees. Right. Again, it saves in case there is a breakdown.
Right.
But I mean, I've never been in a situation where I couldn't handle or I couldn't afford if something broke down. So I don't know. Again, if there's somebody who has a hard time saving money or doesn't make a lot of money, and it's easier for them to come up with $30 a month than it is to come up with $700 to $1,000 at once, then that's just how it is, right?
Right. No, that's good advice. Thank you, Lee.
So yeah, usually a furnace will last 20, 25 years though, approximately.
Oh, okay. Good, because I just got a new furnace, so I'm happy. 3 years ago, so it's good.
Oh, perfect. Perfect.
Great question. Great question. So, before we go, talk to us a little bit about that dinner party that you were going to organize with business owners, because I think that's another really great idea.
Yeah, absolutely. So, there's somebody who I've been following on social media for a while, and I've met him a few different times. His name is Jason Gaynard, and he lives in London or Kitchener area. But he has always thought about you can take away money, you can take away stuff, but you can't take away relationships or your knowledge, right? Like, so if for some reason there was a recession and everybody lost everything, they would still have their network, their relationship, the people that they know. So I really kind of clung on to that idea, and I think it's fantastic. I mean, the more people that we know, the more people that we can help, we can introduce one person to another person. And that's kind of the idea of this dinner, is just getting like-minded people, entrepreneurs, business owners, people who have a desire to grow, and letting everybody kind of come together for a dinner and be more intimate than just a typical networking thing of just handing out business cards and saying, here, call me sometime if you want to hang out, or if you need my service, then give me a call. But once you get to know somebody, then you're not necessarily just another contact. You're a friend. You're somebody who has a deep connection, right? So that's why I wanted to do put these dinners together. Just a matter of having a few hours of breaking bread and getting to know people that are interesting.
So these dinners take place where I guess at a restaurant?
Yeah. So I have. I'm actually in the process of doing some renovations in my basement, and I've been debating doing an in-home chef. So I would hire a chef and do a dinner here.
I have done that before. Amazing.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
I've gone to a few of them as well, and I love that idea. My initial one was supposed to be at a restaurant, but we didn't have enough interest in it at the time. Yeah, I mean, potentially you want something in more of a private room, something that you can have 6 to 10 people. Anything more than 10, it ends up being too large of a group. You can have less than 6, but sometimes a conversation might not flow as naturally as you want it to. Usually 6, 8, 10 people is a pretty good number. But yeah, you want somewhere that it can be intimate, somewhat of a private area, and that you can actually have a conversation. You're not talking over music or anything like that. There's this person that I was talking about, Jason Gaynard. He had a book called Mastermind Dinners. I'm sure that both of you guys have heard of masterminds before.
Yes, yep, I have, for sure.
So this is kind of what it comes from. It's like a mastermind, but it's breaking bread and over a dinner instead of just kind of getting together as a group.
Yeah, I love that.
Great idea.
No, that's great. So once you organize another one, please let me know. I can certainly reach out to other business owners that I know, because I know a few. And
for sure,
yeah, that's a great idea. Amazing.
Nobody I know has a bigger network than you, Will.
Well, I try. You know me. I try to be me. It's
Will
fine.
knows thousands of people. You can meet a random person somewhere, and you start talking about something, and you reference Will, and they're like, Will Ellis?
Yeah. And everyone's always. I've lived in Durham region for 30 years, so I've met quite a few people. Worked at Durham College for a decade. Like, I know quite a few people. So yeah. It's great.
Perfect.
So anyway, this has been fantastic, Lee.
Thank you, Lee.
Really, really enjoyable.
Thank you guys.
So we will end it there. We will get this out, and it'll be up on Facebook and YouTube probably within half an hour.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect.
All right, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you guys as well.
All right.
Take care.